It's about execution at the end of the day. So, whoever calling the plays, the players got to execute at the end of the day. So that's what we focus on. Yeah, he's a young quarterback, but we obviously know what he can do. I like Dylan. He's a good player, very smart. So I'm excited for him, and I'm excited to be out there with him.
The whole story around Shedeur Sanders' NFL debut just flipped on its head. What's coming out now paints a completely different picture than the one social media was shouting about after the game. Cedric Tillman, the Cleveland Browns' starting wide receiver who actually shared the field with Sanders, just dropped some comments that are shaking up the entire league. His defense of Sanders and his genuine excitement about playing with him exposes how far off people at home really were from what was actually happening on that field. Skip Bayless, who's been locked in on Sanders' career from day one and knows quarterback play better than most, came through with a brutal yet eye-opening breakdown. He laid out exactly why Sanders struggled and why anyone calling him a bust after one game is completely missing the point. His analysis showed how the chaos around Sanders wasn't about talent. It was about timing, pressure, and raw experience. And that fan footage from when Sanders stepped onto the field, wow, you could feel the energy in the stadium shift. Browns fans were jumping out of their seats cheering like they already knew this kid could be the future of their offense. That kind of reaction doesn't come from hype, it comes from belief. This isn't PR spin or damage control. This is the truth cutting through all that noise, and what it says about Sanders' future in Cleveland is huge. Now, let's talk about Cedric Tillman's comments, because his words hit different. This isn't coming from a random analyst or online critic. This is a guy who was right there with Sanders, catching his passes, seeing how he handled real NFL pressure. When Tillman was asked about the excitement of playing with Shedeur for the first time, he didn't dodge. He was real about it. He admitted that the very first time he ever played with Sanders, the first time they ever connected on the field, was during an actual NFL game against the Baltimore Ravens' elite defense. That's insane. Imagine trying to build chemistry with your quarterback for the first time, in the middle of a real game, against one of the toughest defenses in football. Not in practice, not in walkthroughs, not even in warm-ups. Shedeur Sanders and Cedric Tillman never got real reps together before that game. Yet there they were, thrown straight into the fire against one of the toughest defenses in the entire league. That's wild. But here's what's even crazier. Tillman didn't take the easy route and throw Sanders under the bus. He didn't blame him or make excuses. Instead, he gave Sanders his flowers. Tillman talked about how Sanders shows up every single day ready to work, how he studies, prepares, and stays locked in, even though he hasn't been getting those first-team snaps. Tillman said it straight. It was cool being out there with Sanders and watching him compete. He made it clear he's hyped to get more chances to play with him again. That's not just polite locker room talk. That's real excitement coming from a guy who knows exactly what he needs from his quarterback. Tillman's backing means something, especially when it's coming from a starter who's seen the ups and downs of the game firsthand. You can tell Tillman's thinking long-term too. He knows that once he and Sanders actually start getting reps together, once they finally get that rhythm and timing down, the chemistry is going to click in a big way. When someone asked if getting first-team reps would help Sanders, Tillman didn't even pause. He said, obviously it would help, and added that they'll see how the week plays out. That's as real as it gets. That answer says what everyone's been whispering. You can't expect a backup quarterback to shine if he's never practiced with the starters. The timing's off, the rhythm's off, and that natural trust between the quarterback and his receivers just isn't there without reps. Tillman basically confirmed what Tony Rizzo and other analysts have been shouting all week. The Browns set Sanders up to struggle by not preparing him properly. But now that real players are stepping up to defend him, the whole story around Sanders is starting to change fast. Skip Bayless came in swinging and completely shredded those lazy takes that flooded social media after Shedeur Sanders' debut. His breakdown didn't just clap back, it exposed how far off the internet was from what really went down on that field. Skip started by admitting, yeah, if you only looked at the box score, it looked rough. 4 completions on 16 attempts, a quarterback rating of 3. On paper, that sounds like a disaster, right? And of course, the haters jumped all over it, screaming online that Sanders isn't ready, that he's overhyped, and that his draft slide made sense. They were loud, but they were wrong, because Skip, who actually knows how to break down quarterback play like few others, wasn't buying that lazy narrative for a second. He pushed back hard, dropping real context that completely flips how people should be judging Sanders' performance. First off, Skip reminded everyone, Sanders got tossed into that game cold at halftime against the Baltimore Ravens defense, which had just gotten healthy and was playing lights out. This wasn't some soft secondary or a defense on a bad day. This was an elite, playoff caliber squad fighting to keep up with Pittsburgh in the division race. These guys came in locked, loaded, and angry. They were sending exotic blitzes, switching up coverages, and throwing every disguise they could to rattle a rookie quarterback who hadn't even had time to find his rhythm. That's a brutal setup for anyone's NFL debut, no matter how talented you are. And here's the part Skip hammered home. Sanders had 0 reps with the starters. None. Not one snap in practice with the first team offense. He'd been sitting behind Dillon Gabriel all season. And before that, Joe Flacco. Meaning he never got a single real chance to build timing, chemistry, or command of the offense. So, when Sanders suddenly got tossed in there, he was trying to run a playbook built entirely for Gabriel's style. No chemistry, no rhythm, no preparation, just raw pressure under the brightest lights possible. None of the plays were built for Shedeur Sanders' strengths, not one. The protection schemes weren't made for his movement. The route concepts didn't match his timing, and the entire playbook was designed around another quarterback's rhythm. Sanders was out there trying to run someone else's game plan on the fly against one of the best defenses in the league without a single practice rep with the guys he was throwing to. That's not just tough, that's wild. And then came the real curveball. This one's crucial. The Browns had just lost their left tackle, Cam Robinson, at the end of the first half. That's the blindside protector, the most important bodyguard a right-handed quarterback has. So when Sanders stepped onto that field, his protection was already broken. He was getting hit from angles he couldn't even see, trying to stay calm while chaos was closing in from every direction. That's every rookie quarterback's worst nightmare. Imagine being in your first NFL game, trying to read coverages, make split-second throws, and at the same time, constantly worry about a 280-pound pass rusher flying in from your blind side. You can't go through progressions properly like that. It's survival mode every snap. No wonder the game looked messy at times. The situation itself was stacked against him from the start. Skip Bayless dug into the film frame by frame, and his breakdown told a completely different story than those cold box score stats. Sanders actually started off strong, hitting his first 2 passes with precision and confidence. He showed poise right out of the gate before Baltimore adjusted and unleashed their full defensive pressure. From that point, things got rough, which is exactly what anyone would expect from a rookie making his debut in those conditions. But here's where it gets exciting. That final drive. Down 23-16, time slipping away, Sanders got the ball and suddenly locked in. This was that it factor people have talked about since college. The clutch gene. Under pressure, he dropped back and delivered a gorgeous 25-yard strike to rookie Harold Fannin Jr. It was one of those moments where you could see flashes of what he might become. Cool under pressure, fearless, and ready for the big stage. Skip Bayless didn't hold back. He said that 25-yard dart Sanders threw had real juice on it, even claiming it was better than anything he's seen from Dillon Gabriel all season. That's huge coming from Skip, who's been glued to every Brown snap this year. After that, Sanders found himself staring down a brutal 3rd and 10 and went to Jerry Jeudy, a guy he'd never practiced with. Still, Jeudy came through, fighting for that first down like it meant everything. That kind of effort shows serious belief. It's clear Jeudy likes playing for Sanders, even without that built-up chemistry most duos need. But then things got messy. Jeudy seemed to get banged up on that same play because he disappeared afterward, which made Sanders' job 10 times harder. Suddenly, his top receiver was gone, and he was left throwing to guys who were barely known outside the locker room. Still, Sanders kept his cool. On the next set of downs, he flashed that underrated mobility Skip's been talking about, tucking the ball, dodging pressure, and picking up 5 yards with his legs. You could see it. The kid can move when the pocket collapses. Then came the 2 throws into the end zone that everyone online couldn't stop roasting, but Skip broke it down and revealed why the criticism was way off. The first came when Sanders broke the pocket and had a defender right in his face. He had to throw off balance, falling away as he targeted Isaiah Bond, an undrafted rookie straight out of Texas. These two had never shared practice reps, so the timing was off, and the ball sailed a few yards wide. But Skip didn't hate that decision. He said it was the right kind of aggressive throw. Either your guy makes the play or nobody does. Exactly what you want when you're chasing a touchdown late in the game. Then came 3rd down from the 25-yard line. Sanders targeted another undrafted rookie, Gage Lavian out of South Carolina. Skip even admitted he didn't recognize the name and couldn't remember him from college film. And remember, Jerry Jeudy was missing from the field at this point. Maybe injured, maybe just sidelined. So Sanders was out there throwing to rookies with minimal NFL experience and zero chemistry. Yet even then, he kept firing, showing that fearlessness that separates the ones who crumble from the ones who rise under pressure. Yeah, man, Skip Bayless couldn't stop talking about that throw. He loved it. He said, Shedeur Sanders dropped it right on the button, hitting Gage Lavian perfectly in the end zone. Former Cowboys defensive back Isaac Odom barely managed to get a hand in there at the last second, tipping it away. But Skip was clear. Lavian had both hands on the ball and should have hauled it in. If that catch is made, everything changes. The score is tied, 23-23, and we're probably headed for overtime. One grab, and the whole story around Sanders' debut flips overnight. Then came the fourth down play that sealed the loss, and it was just more proof of how nothing went Sanders' way. 4th and 5, game on the line, and the Ravens clearly jumped early on the left edge. The refs somehow missed the call, and that no-flag moment let Baltimore crash the pocket instantly. Sanders had no shot. He was forced to throw a desperate sidearm pass to David Njoku in the flat. Incomplete. Game over. But even in that chaos, it was obvious the situation wasn't on Sanders. The odds were stacked against him from start to finish. Skip made it clear. Through all the breakdowns, missed calls, and lack of prep, Sanders still flashed something real. He stayed composed, showed poise under pressure, and kept fighting like a true competitor. Those little glimpses, the timing, the confidence, the guts, were enough for Skip to call his performance encouraging. And here's the part that really caught attention. Skip said he actually hopes Dillon Gabriel stays in concussion protocol for now. Not out of bad intent, but because it would finally give Sanders a full week of real first-team reps, a real chance to prepare, to run plays that fit his strengths, and to get comfortable with the starters who'll be catching his passes. Skip's whole point is simple, but powerful. You can't judge Sanders until he's actually been given a fair shot. When the game plan is built around him, when he's had time to sync up with his receivers, and when he's not thrown into chaos mid-game, then we'll see the real Shedeur Sanders. And judging by what he showed in those final moments, Cleveland might be sitting on something special. For Cleveland, trying to judge Shedeur Sanders off that debut, a game where he was clearly set up to fail, is just unfair and flat-out dishonest. You can't hold that performance against him when everything around him was chaos. But if you really want to know where the truth lies, just look at how the Browns fans reacted the moment he stepped onto that field. The NFL even shared the clip, and wow, the crowd exploded. The cheers were deafening, the stadium shook, and the energy instantly shifted. You could feel it, the hope, the excitement, the belief, all rushing through the stands like wildfire. These fans weren't just cheering for a substitution, they were cheering for a new beginning. They'd been chanting Sanders' name for weeks, booing Dillon Gabriel every time the offense stalled, begging for change. And when they finally got their wish, it was pure electricity, no hesitation, no mixed feelings, just raw support. That's not a fan base that's given up on a rookie after one rough outing. That's a fan base that believes this kid can be their guy, as long as he gets real prep time and a game plan that actually fits his style. But here's where the tension really starts to heat up. The disconnect between head coach Kevin Stefanski and the fans is becoming way too obvious. Stefanski's been riding hard for Dillon Gabriel, doubling down through his comments and decisions that Gabriel's the starter. But at this point, the evidence is impossible to ignore. Gabriel just doesn't look ready to lead this team. The offense feels flat, predictable, and uninspired when he's in control, and the crowd knows it. Meanwhile, fans have made their feelings crystal clear. They want Shedeur Sanders under center. They see his raw talent, they see the flashes of greatness, and they're furious with how the coaching staff has handled him. They're not just asking for change anymore, they're demanding it. What's brewing in Cleveland isn't just a minor disagreement. It's a full-on clash between the team's leadership and the people who fill the seats every Sunday. And that growing divide is building real pressure inside the organization, with everyone watching to see who blinks first. Jimmy Haslam, the Browns owner, is standing at a massive crossroads right now, one that could completely reshape the team's future. Does he stick with Kevin Stefanski and keep backing Dillon Gabriel? Even though the offense is flat, the fans are fed up, and the results just aren't there? Or does he finally listen to the crowd, the locker room, and the growing noise around Shedeur Sanders, the guy players like Cedric Tillman are excited to play with? The decision isn't just about who starts at quarterback, it's about the entire direction of the franchise. Haslam's reputation says it all. He's never been scared to make bold moves or challenge his own football staff when he feels they're missing the mark. And right now, this might be one of those defining moments. The whole situation with Sanders has revealed cracks in how the Browns operate. And those cracks run deep. This isn't just about one bad debut or one quarterback controversy. It's about how the organization develops its young talent and whether they're truly setting players up to succeed. Everything about Sanders' debut pulled the curtain back on a bigger problem. No first-team practice reps for the backup, no mid-game adjustments when plans collapse, no chemistry built between quarterbacks and receivers all season, losing key offensive linemen with no solid backup plan. Those aren't small mistakes. They're signs of a system that's broken. And if Haslam wants to fix his team's future, that's where he needs to start looking. But through all the frustration, there's a bright spot. Cedric Tillman's enthusiasm about playing with Sanders. That excitement is real. It's not just words for the media, it's a signal that the locker room believes in the kid. When a starting wide receiver openly says he's looking forward to practicing and building chemistry with the backup quarterback, that speaks volumes. It shows that Sanders has earned respect through his grind, his focus, and how he carries himself even without the spotlight. When teammates defend him after a rough debut, when they're hyped to work with him instead of just following the coach's script, that tells you something powerful about what's brewing behind the scenes. Inside that locker room, players see potential, they see leadership, and maybe, just maybe, they see the future of the Cleveland Browns standing right there in Shedeur Sanders. The players clearly see something special in Shedeur Sanders, and they just want the shot to prove what they can really do once they've actually had time to prepare and build rhythm with him. Skip Bayless's latest comparison between Sanders and Dillon Gabriel took things to a whole new level. He didn't hold back, calling Sanders' best throw on that final drive better than anything Gabriel's shown all year. That's not just a hot take. That's a direct hit to Gabriel's reputation and a huge statement about what Sanders could become. Skip's been glued to every Browns game this season, watching every snap, every throw, every struggle. He's seen Gabriel's full body of work, and he straight up said that Sanders' 25-yard strike to Harold Fannin Jr. was miles ahead of anything Gabriel has produced all season long. Think about that. In his first ever NFL appearance under brutal pressure with zero practice time and chaos all around, Sanders still delivered a throw that screamed raw talent and elite arm ability. That's the kind of moment that should make Cleveland's decision-makers stop and seriously reevaluate who their true quarterback one should be. And it wasn't just about that one throw. The entire situation surrounding it exposed how poorly the team managed Sanders' debut. The fact that he was forced to rely on undrafted rookie receivers in crunch time because Jerry Jeudy suddenly disappeared is wild. Where was Jeudy when Sanders needed him most? If he got hurt, why didn't the coaches have a backup plan ready? And if he wasn't injured, then why on earth wasn't he on the field during the most critical plays of the game? Those are fair questions, and they all point straight back to Stefanski's coaching and game management. Leaving a rookie quarterback in his first NFL appearance to throw to players he barely even knew in a make-or-break moment is just bad preparation. That's not development. That's setting someone up to struggle. And to top it all off, that missed offsides call on the final fourth down only made things worse. The Ravens clearly jumped early, collapsing the pocket before Sanders even had a chance. But the refs swallowed the whistle. No flag, no reset, just a desperation throw that had no shot. It was the perfect snapshot of how everything that could go wrong for Sanders in his debut absolutely did. Football really is a game of inches. And for Shedeur Sanders, none of those inches went his way in his debut. Every bounce, every call, every moment seemed to break against him, yet somehow he still nearly pulled off a comeback that would have flipped the whole story upside down. That kind of fight, that grit in the middle of total chaos, says everything about Sanders' mental toughness. He didn't fold, he didn't panic, and he didn't stop competing. Even when everything crumbled around him, he kept swinging until the final whistle, and that's what real resilience looks like. Now all eyes are on what could come next, a potential start against the Las Vegas Raiders. This time, everything would be different. If Sanders finally gets a full week of first-team reps, it changes the entire equation. He'll have the chance to build real timing with Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, and the rest of the starting squad. He'll learn the rhythm of the offensive line, the communication, the protection calls, the little cues that make an offense click, and most importantly, the coaches can finally draw up a game plan built for him. His arm, his speed, his instincts, not Gabriel's. That kind of preparation makes a world of difference in the NFL. Going from being thrown into the fire unprepared to having a plan tailored to your skill set is night and day. If Sanders gets that start with full preparation behind him, we're about to see what he's really capable of when he's not fighting uphill the entire game. And don't underestimate the psychological side of this either. That matters more than most people think. Having teammates like Tillman publicly back him up, defending his effort and hyping him up gives Sanders the boost every young quarterback needs. That kind of locker room support builds confidence fast. When a quarterback knows his guys trust him, it changes everything. The body language, the decision-making, the leadership. Tillman's words gave Sanders a foundation, trust, belief, and brotherhood. That's exactly what he needs to bounce back strong from that rough debut. Instead of feeling like the scapegoat, Sanders now knows he's got his teammates behind him, and that knowledge alone might just spark the beginning of something big in Cleveland. The pressure on Kevin Stefanski right now is sky high. He's got an entire fan base demanding Shedeur Sanders get the start. Players like Cedric Tillman openly showing love and excitement about playing with him, and analysts like Skip Bayless breaking down the film, proving Sanders flashed real talent even in total chaos. On top of that, ownership is reportedly asking the tough questions, like how a backup quarterback went an entire season without proper preparation. The spotlight's burning bright, and Stefanski's every move is being watched. If Stefanski keeps doubling down on Dillon Gabriel without giving Sanders a fair shot, one where he's truly prepared and supported, he's not just risking losses, he's risking the locker room, the fans, and maybe even his job. The team feels the shift, and the city can sense it too. The smart play here is clear. Commit to Shedeur Sanders, give him the reps, build a plan around him, and find out what this kid can do when he's actually set up for success. What's happening in Cleveland has turned into something bigger than just a quarterback decision. It's a test of leadership. The whole NFL is watching to see whether the Browns can adapt, learn from their mistakes, and admit that maybe their first evaluation was off. This isn't just about picking between two quarterbacks, it's about whether this franchise is capable of growth or if it's doomed to repeat the same cycle of stubborn missteps. Sanders came into the league as a highly touted prospect. Everyone knew the talent was real, but whispers about attitude and interview issues made him slide in the draft. Now, he's got the chance to flip that narrative completely. Every throw, every drive, every bit of effort he puts on tape is a statement, not just about his ability, but about the Browns' ability to recognize and develop it. And if you want to understand how powerful this moment is, just go back and watch that fan reaction when Sanders jogged onto the field. The place erupted. The noise was pure emotion, a mix of hope, excitement, and long-suppressed belief. This is a fan base that's been starved for something, someone to believe in. They've endured years of quarterback heartbreak, watched promising talents fade, and seen potential wasted over and over. But when Sanders stepped out there, even for that brief moment, it felt different. The stadium came alive, not because of hype, but because for the first time in a long time, Cleveland fans saw hope wearing number 14. When Shedeur Sanders jogged onto that field, Browns fans felt something, that rare spark of hope that maybe, just maybe, something special was about to happen. And even though his debut was messy, that hope didn't die. If anything, now that fans understand the full context of why he struggled, they're more determined than ever to see him get a fair shot. This time, with real preparation and a game plan designed for him, they know what they saw wasn't failure. It was potential buried under chaos. Cedric Tillman's words about Sanders being a competitor who works hard and prepares like a pro hit hard because they directly challenged the doubts that haunted Sanders during the draft process. Remember those anonymous scouting reports? The whispers about questionable work ethic and coachability? Tillman just shut all that down. This is a guy who sees Sanders up close, in practices, in meetings, day after day. And he's telling the world those concerns were flat out wrong. Sanders grinds, he studies, he shows up, he takes the game seriously and competes with heart. That kind of endorsement means everything, because when it's coming from a respected teammate, it carries way more weight than any anonymous scout quote from months ago. Tillman's not spinning PR, he's speaking from experience, and that says a lot about Sanders' real character. The so-called attitude problem that dropped him in the draft, it's looking more and more like a false narrative, and his work ethic is proving it every day. And when you actually look at what Sanders pulled off in that debut, the composure, the flashes of elite arm talent, the way he battled through total chaos, it's more than enough to justify giving him a real opportunity moving forward. Skip Bayless caught it on film. Cedric Tillman sees it in practice. Browns fans see it with their own eyes from the stands. The only ones still pretending they don't see it are the coaches, who seem stuck defending Dillon Gabriel no matter what the results say. At some point, that stubborn loyalty starts looking like denial. The reality is simple. Organizational pride can't matter more than winning football games. The Browns are standing right at the edge of a massive decision, one that could shape the next several years of the franchise. Do they keep forcing Gabriel into a role he's not ready for while letting a young quarterback with star potential waste away? Or do they swallow their pride, hand Sanders the keys, and see what happens when you actually believe in your future? The choice will define everything that comes next in Cleveland. Or the Browns can finally face reality. They can admit where they went wrong, commit fully to preparing Shedeur Sanders the right way, and give him a real shot to prove what he can do when he's back, protected, and trusted. Because if they do, they might just realize they've had their franchise quarterback sitting on the bench this whole time. The choice feels obvious to everyone watching, fans, analysts, even players. Yet somehow, the people making the calls still can't see it, and that disconnect, that's what's driving everyone crazy in Cleveland right now. If Cedric Tillman's passionate defense of Sanders and Skip Bayless's hard-hitting breakdown made you see what's really going on here, hit that like button right now. Don't just scroll. Let me know what you think in the comments below. This is the kind of real, no-spin, context-driven talk that cuts through all the noise and shows you what's actually happening behind the headlines. So tell me, should Sanders start against the Raiders? Is Kevin Stefanski making a career-ending mistake by clinging to Dillon Gabriel instead of building around Sanders? And what do you expect to see if Shedeur finally gets a full week of first-team reps and a playbook made for him? Drop your takes below. I want to hear every opinion. And make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications because we're not done yet, not even close. We're following this quarterback battle every step of the way, every rumor, every report, every locker room update, all of it. This story is evolving fast, and it could reshape the entire future of the Browns franchise. You're going to want to be here as it all unfolds. The truth about Shedeur Sanders is finally breaking through. The fans see it, the players feel it, and now the pressure's on the organization to act. Until the next one, keep demanding better from this front office. Keep backing these young players who actually earn their shot, and keep your eyes locked on Cleveland because something big is brewing. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video, and drop a comment below. Let's keep this conversation going. I'll catch you in the next one. Let's see if the Browns finally make the right call this time